All right, folks, welcome back to the Be the Bright podcast presented by Ridge Supply. My name is Matt Hawkins. Down below is Jordan of Arsenal fame, and our special guest is Matthew Kutilek, who is our friend, longtime friend of mine, and Arsenal member, Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Marine Corps, five-time Dirty Kansas finisher, Dirty Kansas XL finisher, Trans Iowa finisher, about to be wind and rock champion here in 2020. I'm calling that right now.
Putting the pressure on.
Two-time Croatan buck 50 finisher from the Croatan National Forest, and
that's right. Yeah, so
Eastern North Carolina.
We discussed your injury, how we met. We discussed the endurance side of what it is that you do and your sort of indomitable spirit. One thing that has been really neat, I think, for me, living in a Marine Corps town, is all my riding buddies are Marines. They're either most of them are active duty like yourself, or recently out or whatever. And for me, it's just been a really unique thing because I'm like, most of you guys are so busy. I'm like the only civilian friend you got that isn't some friend that you had from growing up, you know? But I think it's really neat because you were there when Ridge Supply started, and have seen it kind of all the way through. And almost you only lived here for a couple of years during that time. We've gotten you back and we've lost you, and we've gotten you back and now we've lost you again, because you keep having to move around. But what's that been like to watch, Arsenal come up out of nowhere and and all that?
Well, I do have a unique perspective because I've known you before this even started, and really Ridge Supply started before it started because you've always been a man of ideas. So when we started that Moonlight Hunt Club, we used to ride at 4:35 in the morning. We still do. And so you literally created a T-shirt that said the Moonlight Hunt Club, hashtag MHC. We used to take photos, and you were always creating, designing stuff, kit ideas for this or that. And then when you got hit by the vehicle, I'll never forget where I was at. I was commuting back home from my work to my house, and I got a text message right there in Sneed's Ferry saying that you'd been in an accident. I got it from one of our friends, and then I was thinking about you the entire way home. So Ridge Supply started from that, and to me, it's an amazing testament to what one individual can do if he is passionate about it, commits himself to do it, and does what he loves to do. So it started with nothing. And then, I remember the first sock that you released. I'm like, I don't know where, how long can a sock business last? How unique is it? It's going to run out of patterns. He's going to run out of ideas. And then it started growing. And then I remember, I'm very fortunate. My wife is from Greenville, South Carolina. It's a, awesome place to cycle. It's where a lot of, George Hincapie lives there, Christian Vandervelde, Bobby Julik. And I went there in a group ride, and for the first time, I saw Ridge Supply socks in this group ride. I'm like, that's pretty amazing. And then I traveled to Dirty Kansas, and there's Ridge Supply socks there, and then there's Ridge Supply kit with cutaway. And then the brand started to develop, and to me, I'm very proud when I see people with that socks, and I stop them all the time. I live in Washington, D.C. right now, and I see there's a huge cycling community here, a lot of commuters, a lot of very high, Cat 1, Cat 2 pro cyclists wearing your kit. And I talked to him about it, and it makes me proud to know, hey, I know the guy that started that. Literally is a good friend of mine, and literally he is the sole operator and employee of that entire business. And with today's modern technology, his only means of communication, only means of product of showing his product is through the internet. And it's all free through Instagram. And then it's through word of mouth. It's through somebody wearing it, recommending it. And, so I do all I can to support the business. And I also try to snipe people. And, I found a 15 or 16-year-old high school student up here in a group ride 2 years ago. And he was extremely strong. I said, hey, man, what's your name? And he was wearing some of your socks. And I was like, look, I'm going to have that guy. I'm going to tell him about you. And I remember you texted him that day and sent him some socks that day, and he just got selected for a pretty good team up here. But, those kind of unique relationships are pretty awesome. And then, it's just great to support the brand. So almost all the races I've ever done, I've worn your kit, your the cutaway kit, your Rich Supply design kit, your socks, and you're always open to new ideas. I mean, the bag you just created and designed 2 weeks ago. The very first race we did in North Carolina, we drove up there and we talked about a bag, a cycling kit bag, because the one you recommended was a Patagonia bag. And here it is 10 years later. I'm like, man, it took you 10 years to really design that bag, because we talked about it on day one.
Yeah.
But your ideas are endless and they're pretty fascinating. It's just, even though I've been deployed overseas on several occasions, I have friends all over the globe, and I see your cycling socks in those countries. I'm like, man, it's kind of emotional actually to see what one man can do starting out of his garage in Cedar Point, North Carolina, and the impact he can have globally.
Dude, I'm gonna have to cut all this together. This is my testimonial right here. Like, let's just stop it right now.
Hey, like I mentioned off the camera here, I placed $27 orders for bandanas, and I get $450 worth of kit, so I owe you some.
Well, one thing that you're obsessed with red. I don't know why, but like,
you're a hater of red.
Well, I mean,
he is a red hater. He is a red hater.
Every time he makes a design, I'm like, well, that would look good in red, white, and blue, or black. Red and black, Matt.
The three
every time.
The three biggest colors in cycling are white, black, and red, and they're everywhere. And of course, Marines, they love their red too, and so every time I do anything, he will text or put a comment on Instagram. Well, if it was red, I would get it, and it's to the point now where I'm basically might even ban red, just in general, just to spite him. But, or I should just come out with like a red bag and charge him like $2,000 for it, and he would probably pay it. So, but no, dude, I really appreciate that. You're right. It did start before the accident and before a lot of things. It started in the way that, like, I've been very fortunate to have groups that are friends, and not just teams or people you're kind of stuck together. And that group that we had with you, me, and Josh, and Brett too. Brett was the silent assassin that was with us all the time. And, those guys just had that. We all had this like mindset to go do something ridiculous. And it was a way that everybody got stronger and better. And, I still seek that out now, or try to create it, because it's awesome to have other people that are just dumb enough to get up at 3:30 and go ride. So I appreciate you guys being there.
But what you're, and to conclude this aspect of it, what it really taught me was the fact that, to pursue your dreams, your goals, your passions and desires. Because I know prior to Rich Supply, you had a not so envious job. It's pretty lucrative. You made good money on it. But I remember we would have 2-hour-long counseling sessions on our rides about the frustration you had dealing with people, dealing with the challenges of it. And you always, I just can't, I don't think I'm going to stop it, quit. And then this accident happened. It was like the light bulb went off in your head. Hey man, I only live one time. That's kind of the light bulb that went off in my head on 5 March 2010 when I almost died. It's like, look, I only live one time. I got to stop messing around, pursue my goals, dreams, desires, and commit to it. Because honestly, even if you're making $1 million or whatever the case is, and you're not happy, then what's the point? I mean, you got to be happy. You got to take care of your family. You've got to be, enjoyable to be around. And sometimes you're in the wrong situation. It's not good. And, I admire you for that, because you did walk away and you started this literally in your garage. I remember the first time we went back in there, you had a few Tupperware containers, you get your first sock. It
started in my den, in my den on my kid's desk, well, and, the one thing I do want to say to people that are like, cause I've had a lot of people be like, oh, well, you did it. Well, then I can do it. And I didn't do anything, I just made a sock and tried to figure out a way to sell it. I didn't like start out with the dream of this or, of anything. I literally just put one foot in front of the other and found that I was enjoying it, and kept going. And, eventually your competitiveness kicks in, your whatever those things are. And I'm not alone. I talk with people even people on this podcast, I talk with people that are trying to figure out what to do with their careers and find something new. And I certainly don't have the answer, but I do say to people that, like, if you're doing something you genuinely enjoy, you know, and you can somehow get the magic to happen where it's actually supporting you, or at least not making your life worse, you know, just keep doing it. Because if you got to go to a job to stay secure that you don't like, at least you can do something else in your part-time, your side time, your night, your weekend, or whatever that brings you joy. And that's kind of how this started. And I mean, it's a lot like with what we did with Arsenal, where it was just an idea. And you were one of the original Arsenal members, and you
stole my question, Matt. That's
go ahead, Jordan. Kick in there, buddy.
I was going to say you were one of the original Arsenal people, and so I was kind of curious. I guess 5 years in now with Arsenal, Matt?
Yeah.
Kind of what your opinion on seeing how Arsenal has grown and changed, and you've had more people come in, and kind of its own community that it's built.
Yeah, I think it's its own community, and it's such a broad spectrum of people from all across, I'm guessing globally, but across the United States and then globally, that have the one thing in common of wearing Ridge Supply kit and gear, and being part of an Arsenal member and being a part of that brand. And, you know, in cycling industry especially, there's a huge ambassador programs in any kind of business. And it's just neat to be a part of that one. It's kind of unique as well. And that, you know, there's so many Instagram posts. It's kind of daunting to keep track of, but it's not just one aspect of the cycling community, which I think a lot of companies, they hurt themselves by branding themselves as only, you know, road specific branding of whatever. Whereas it's all aspects. If you're on two wheels, you could be a commuter in Pittsburgh and be a Ridge Supply Arsenal member. And that's great, because that's a huge community there. There's, there's all different nationalities, races. And I think it's sexist. It's great in regards to, there's so many people that ride a bike, and now they can help support the business, and the business can help support them. It's a mutually supporting relationship, but it's pretty incredible to see it grow. And I've seen guys up here in DC that I've seen on Instagram, and then I see them on a ride, like, oh man, I know exactly who that is based off this Ridge Supply Arsenal post.
Yeah.
And I do remember the first time that there was like probably 25 of us, and we had an ammo can, and we had a couple trinkets that were in that ammo can, and it was like, here it is right here the first year. And then there were some stickers. You're always big on stickers, because you can it takes 15 cents to produce a sticker, and then you can sell that thing for $6.50, and you can
nice.
do the math. So anyway, yeah, it's neat to see.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And I realize that, like, there's who knows what the future is going to hold, but I know that you're going to crush Iowa. I know that you're going to, I mean, I'm going to throw a time out there. Are you going to go, I mean, can you get under three for the marathon? No, for the marathon. Can you get under three?
For the marathon?
3:20,
I ran
3:15.
So
what?
A month ago, I ran a 1:31 half marathon, 1:31:30 half marathon on a relatively flat course. When I did that, it took me 10 days to recover, because when you go past that red threshold, it's tough. So it depends where I run it. If I go down to you and run on the coast where it's extremely flat, I can get sub 3:10, I believe, if I have a good race and good support. If I run it up here in a hilly environment, it's going to be below probably 3:20. I think is realistic. My fastest marathon ever is 3:19. So I thought, man, and my nutrition's honed. I don't want to get nutrition, but I think I can get below 3:10 if I really focused and I didn't cycle. The problem is my fatigue level is through the roof right now, because last week I cycled for 14 hours or 13 hours and I ran 33 miles. So my fatigue level is in a stratosphere, and I don't know what I can do until I recover and rest for a week or two. So I'll know once Iowa comes. I'm taking, I'm going to push myself as hard as I can for 2 weeks, take a few days easy, do Iowa to the peak fitness.
Yeah.
And I have 2 weeks until I do the marathon on Veterans Day weekend. So I'm looking about a 3:20, 3:10 around there.
Well, I'm going to throw out a gauntlet for you, because 20 years ago, I ran my first and only marathon, and I ran a 3:47. So if you don't beat 3:47, then
I'll beat 347.
Well, but I'm just saying, if it's close,
yeah,
I'm coming for you. I'm going to heckle you nonstop if it's like a 348 or something, because you have to beat me.
You'll be beat.
I don't even think my feet got off the ground. I was like just shuffling like this.
That's right. The last 6 miles for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the worst.
I knew when I did that, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah. 20 miles is easy. It's the last 6.2 that is just unbelievable, challenging. Your body's like, nope, you're built for 20 miles, not 26.
Exactly. It's a lot like the Century, though. The first Century seems just incredible, and then you can tap out 5 hours eventually, like it's no big deal, and then it becomes the 200 miles in the last.
Yeah.
After the last aid station at Dirty Kansas, how are you going to get there? That kind of stuff. So, kudos to you for always getting stuck in it and pushing a little bit further, because it's an inspiration.
We'll definitely be watching.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Matt. My Iowa race is 23 October. So I'll keep you updated on that, Matt. I'm sure you might post something out. Starts on Friday, 08 in the morning, 337 miles. And then the marathon will take place on roughly 7 November, depending upon where I do it at.
And make sure I get a text or a phone call, from the podium or
right.
when it's all said and done.
Right.
Matthew Kutilek, Jordan Spoon, thank you all for being here. I so appreciate it. Friendship means a lot, and the support of the brand, your $27 is greatly appreciated. And Godspeed on your upcoming endurance spectacles.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot for having me, Matt and Jordan. I appreciate it.
Peace. Episode 35. Woo, 35.
Boom.
Be the Bright Podcast. We're coming at you soon.